Hey everybody, this is Alex Big Blue. Today we have an all Marvel episode of All Number Ones. This is episode 8, so let's start right off and I'll show you guys all the sweet Marvel books that I read. Starting off with one that I was very interested in, it was actually the last one I read. Spider-Man Team Up featuring X-Men, number 1. So this one, besides the fact the cover is amazing, of course. So Spider-Man and the X-Men is two of my overall favorite series, maybe the two if I had to pick. I don't know. They're certainly there with all the other top ones, but they're also some of my favorite characters. So I knew I was going to like this, assuming the story was decent, and the story was decent. And it's kind of one off in this particular story. It wraps up. I mean, they are mixed in with the Hellfire Club. They're against them in this one, and they're trying to save J. Jonah Jameson. He's pretty much targeted by some members of the Hellfire Club. So yeah, this was really interesting. Spider-Man was peak in this, and the X-Men was great. Also, it was interesting because the X-Men you get in this was a lot of the ones that I like, and it didn't have some of the other ones that's always in there, like Wolverine and some of those other guys. So it had a little bit more time for some of the other ones I like to shine, kind of. So that was interesting. Like, for example, Psylocke right here, and Angel. But yeah, this was a very cool, enjoyable book, and I highly recommend it if you guys like Spider-Man and X-Men anywhere close to as much as I do. And next up, one that I got a while back for Christmas a few years ago from, I believe, my brother, if I'm not mistaken. I think I got it for Christmas. I know he gave it to me, but anyways, nonetheless, we have Hawkeye number 1, and this is from, let's see what year it was, 1983, is that right? I think it's 83. Looks kind of funny looking, but anyways, very cool cover on this one, as I've said before. I absolutely love that, the white background. But yeah, anyways, so on the story in this, it's the origin of Hawkeye and Mockingbird meeting. So of course we get Mockingbird showing up in here. We get some Hawkeye with a decent story of. I don't really want to say what it's about because it might spoil it. But essentially, we get Hawkeye being pretty emotional, which is pretty interesting. Kind of goes a different way than you'd expect on the way he's kind of dealing with things here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And overall, it was a pretty interesting book and a cool meetup from them two. So yeah, it was a fun book and certainly enjoyable. I haven't read much Hawkeye lately for a while, so I was glad to get a couple issues of it and read this one, of course. Next up, we have Yondu number 1. This is a newer book. I forget exactly what year. It probably tells somewhere on the cover or something, but I got it, I think, like maybe 2 years ago or something like that. And I never read it, so I finally got to it. And this was pretty interesting because, first of all, it's a really fast read. I mean, relatively fast, but like an average newer book, I would say, which I kind of always appreciate because it keeps my short attention span on point. And yeah, so essentially, this Yondu and another Yondu are both in it, and it sets up a story that will be continuing throughout it. And it was a pretty decent read. It gives you a little bit of look into Yondu's psyche and kind of just his day to day life, especially, I would say. So yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty decent read. I like Yondu somewhat as a character in general, so pretty enjoyable. And next up, we have Spider Woman number 1. This is a variant edition cover, and a very cool cover also at that. I think I might have won this one from Slim Comics. I mean, not Slim Comics, but I mean from Simple Simon, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was from Simple Simon. But yeah, anyways, very cool cover on this one. I like Spider Woman in general. My favorite one is Jessica Drew, probably still. Or I mean, wait, see, Julia Carpenter, I mean. But I like Jessica Drew also, so this was pretty cool. And so basically, she's super jaded in this one, and she's hired as a bodyguard, more or less, to watch over this young girl that's kind of it's got a rich family, and she's a rich girl, of course. And she's supposed to watch over him because people might be trying to kidnap him, and lo and behold, that is kind of what happens. They try to come out, and so it gets into it pretty good. It also shows the origin for a new costume that she's wearing after that, even though it came in time before this. So that was kind of interesting. You went back and showed that too. So yeah, it was a decent read. A little bit different than I'm used to because she doesn't exactly act like she always does. She's a little more cheesed off, I would say. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I would be somewhat interested in continuing the series if I happen to see any more of them. But yeah, decent enough first issue. Next up, we have Infinity Wars Prime number 1. This is also a variant edition. I think I got this one from Walmart, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. It's either that or Game Exchange. But anyways, very cool cover. We get Thanos getting impaled by a sword in it. And yeah, this was a pretty fast read, and it was really pretty cool. I don't really know what to say about it too much because it's a great setup for the story, and I am interested in reading more, so I think that's probably the main thing I could tell you. But yeah, I wasn't real familiar with what had been going on around this time as much, so that's why it's a little harder to go into details. But I thought this was pretty cool, and I'd like to read more of it if I find the other issues. So it seemed like a pretty interesting story that they're setting up there. And last but definitely not least, one that I thoroughly enjoyed, X-Men Schism, issue 1 of 5. I have most of this if I don't have all of it. So I'm pretty happy to say that because I like this one a lot, as I usually do with most X-Men stories. It just seems like it's hard for them to miss generally. And I certainly always enjoy them a lot for sure. But yeah, this is a pretty cool setup for a story. Humankind looks like they're going to probably set up for a huge battle with the mutants yet again. At least that's the way it's looking at the start of this one, kind of way I'm guessing it might go. But this was very interesting. It had some, they're trying to basically navigate the political side between the mutants and the humans early on. Cyclops goes out and has Wolverine as a bodyguard on that mission. That was pretty interesting. Also, Wolverine gets some pretty cool character stuff with one of the younger New Mutants, not actual New Mutants, the team, but like a younger mutant that they just got. And yeah, he does some pretty cool stuff in that regard, like on the human level. So yeah, that's pretty interesting too. I don't want to say much about that, but that was pretty cool. You get some nice moments in this for sure, and you definitely get some cool action also, and a great setup in general for this. I think in the future from this start. So I'm very excited to read more of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Alex Blue. See you later.